Good morning everyone. My name is Rabi Singh, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, Sri Krishna Dutt Academy. Today I am going to discuss about important topic in our B.ed curriculum, that is value and peace education. Let us discuss about value. What is value? The value has been originated from French word valoir and Latin word valere, which means to be worth, be strong. When we are discussing about value, we know that values are something which is worth, which creates worth in your life. For example, if you have good values, you are much worthy than other person who has not that much values. Then concept of values. Basically, values can be subjective according to person, but here we are discussing about the universal values which one person has to develop in his life. And for most important, why we are discussing about values? Because we know in the current situation, most of the values has been disappeared from our life, day to day life, and we are now on the target of achieving something new that is good for ourselves, our family members, our children, our students, and so this value and peace education has been added into the curriculum of B.ed students. For us, they are going to become a teacher and they should have that good values so that they can inculcate that values to their students. So the concept of values denotes the importance of something or action that is important to our life, and putting that we can make our personality, our behavior good enough in front of others and in front of our students, and the quantity of values can increase or decrease according to the situation. Then meaning and definitions of values. There are many such sociologists who has given the definitions of values according to different concept. Here actually when describing about value, the verbal meaning of value signifies that the quality of an individual or thing which makes that individual or thing important, respectable and useful. The quality may be internal or external both. Means such qualities which are good for ourselves, which are good for society, and that brings our change in behavior, that is good for our humankind. Then the value means something that is precious, dear, worthwhile, valuable and estimable and hence worthy of possessions. Such values which brings worthy in our life are good to possess in our life. Then values also defines upon which man acts by preference. The Oxford Dictionary defines values as something of great worth or importance or standard or principle that is valuable in life. According to Oxford Dictionary, value is such things which is most valuable and most important in our life. Then definitions. Then Kane 1962 states, values are the ideals, beliefs or norms which a society or the large majority of society's members hold. When we are talking about values, it is basically that beliefs, norms or rules or regulations which the maximum population of the society hold, because they have to live in society and they have to follow that rules and regulations to live a peaceful and calm life. Then according to Cooper 1962, values are ideas and beliefs which people cherish. These ideas contain or express the judgment which people have of the relative importance of things. Means those values are the beliefs which when inculcated in our personality or in our life, we get cherished on that. People identify our personality, they respect our behavior and they are more cherished in our life. According to Rokich, defines values an enduring belief, a specific mode of conduct or end along a continuum of relative importance. According to Rokich, the values are those which last long life till our death, and that only specifies what we were, what kind of human we were, and why after our death also people remember us. According to M.P. Hunt, looks at value as a judgment concerning the worth of an object, person, group or situation. Value judgment contains evaluative rating terms such as good, bad, moral, immoral, beautiful, ugly, etc. He says that values are not only the rules and rules of code and conduct, but also whatever which deals with the human beings, that is good, that is bad, that is moral and that is immoral or beautiful or ugly. They all constitute together our values. And next, our Indian sociologist R.K. Mukherjee says that values are socially approved desires and goals that are internalized through the process of conditioning, learning or socialization, and that become objective preference, standards and aspirations. He was in the thought that values that we internalize, from where we get that values comes from our society. When we meet with each other, we learn that society, we see with something happening in our society, we learn, and that internalize through the process of conditioning, learning or socialization, and that have become an important part of our life and bring standards and aspirations to our life. Then meaning of value education. We were discussing about what is value and what are its means and definitions of values. Now we are coming about value education. What is this value education? When we are talking about education, we have studied that education is a lifelong process. It can be both formal or informal. In the same way, when we are speaking about value education is also a process of teaching and learning about the ideas that a society deems important. It basically teach about the ideas, about the rules, about the regulations, what are important in our society and which makes our living easy. While this learning can take place in a number of forms, the underlying aim is for students not only to understand the values but also to reflect them in their attitudes, behavior and contribute to society through good citizenship and ethical practices. The main focus of the value education is to inculcate these values in the life of the students, in the life of the pupil teacher, so that they can carry forward these values to their coming generations, and this will lead to a beautiful and happy citizens with ethical practices. These ethical practices will make laws, rules, laws, order and everything followed by them. Then what is the definition of value education? Then according to Pony J and others, value education is process by which people give moral values to others. According to Pony J, value education is basically what people transfer from one person to another, and these values are basically the moral values which one family transmit to other coming generations and teacher transmit to his students. According to Aspin, value education is a process of learning values and acquiring knowledge of the rules relating to certain underlying principles together with the ability to apply these rules intelligently in social livings. According to Aspin, it is the process of learning values and acquiring knowledge so that someone can become more happy in his life and live a simple and peaceful life. So, value education is defined as learning process to acquire knowledge and skills about certain social norms and mutually accommodating life. It is all about socialization, learning norms, learning regulations, learning laws for our society, because we are a social being and in society we have to follow all that rules and regulations which makes our society beautiful and living with happiness. Then what are basic objectives of value education? Various objectives of value education are, first of all, to improve the integral growth of human being. Being a human being, God has given us the quality that is basically caring, loving, and most important, they are thoughtful animals. So, to improve the integral growth of human being, values are most important. If a person is not taught good values from his childhood, he cannot have that much good and fortunate life. But person who has been taught good values, he can be successful, fortunate life, and his all integral growth can be much better than other person. Second, to create attitudes and improvement towards sustainable lifestyle. These values or value education helps to develop attitudes among the person. Third one is to increase awareness about our national history, our cultural heritage, constitutional rights, national integration, community development and environment. When we learn about value education, we come to know about what is the importance of our constitutional rights, what are our cultural heritage, and what are our national integrity and community development and environment. We do value all these things and we try to inculcate these values among children. Then fourth is to develop awareness about the values and their significance and role. And the most important process of value education is to develop awareness among the students about whatever good things are happening around them and what is good for the country or nation. Next, to know about the various living and non-living organisms and their interaction with environment. Our value education not only helps to teach students about the living thing, but also about the respect about non-living things, because they both are the important part of our life. Then let us talk about types of value education. Here there are especially two types of value education, that is explicit value education and implicit value education. Talking about explicit value education, those values which get inculcated in ourselves through the outer environment or through the family members or through the education, through our teachers, and all those values comes from our experiences. Next is implicit values. This comes from the unconscious process of learning social ethics which takes place involuntarily. These types of values come to us time to time when we come in contact with such situations where our unconscious mind gets that feeling of morality, or more values get inculcated in our unconscious mind from the situation what we are facing time to time. Then talking about types of values, values are being categorized as personal values, social values, moral values, universal values and cultural values. Then talking about personal values, these values are main important for the person to grow. For example, personal values such as love, honesty, discipline, all these come again under personal values. Then talking about social values, these values are important to live in society. As being a social being, we have to follow the rules and regulations of the society. Then moral values, these are the values which are based on the morality, like you have to be honest to everyone, you have to speak truth to the person. And the universal values, that is exist all over the world, whichever country or whichever place you go, you have to follow that values. That, for example, we say honesty is the best policy. Here honesty is honesty for each and every person living anywhere in this world. Then cultural values. These values are the values which family members or society transfer their kids from one generation to generations. It differs from culture to culture. For example, in Hindu tradition, we have the culture or touching feet to our elders, and this value get transmitted from one generation to another. This is the example of cultural values. Thank you. This is for what we have studied about in value and peace education.